Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Delegate Coyner, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are failing our children in Virginia. I know that's a blunt statement, but it's true. We are failing them. When this pandemic began, our school systems were caught flat-footed. They asked, how do we create a virtual education experience that matches what we provide in the classroom? And to their credit, our school systems tried mightily. The results were mixed at best. Technical issues plagued affluent systems. Access issues plagued poor systems. How did children with little or no access to the internet learn in a virtual classroom? In at least one system here in the Richmond area, teachers lined up at copy machines to make paper packets for students to be picked up by parents. We learned the hard way that there is no substitute for face-to-face instruction. Yet today, the majority of our school systems are offering virtual education, and for many, that's all they are offering. And virtual education does not work for all of our students. Poor children, children of color, children in rural areas, children with disabilities, our children learning English as a new language, and our youngest learners in Virginia are being left behind in a virtual setting. Even parents in our wealthiest systems are looking for alternatives to virtual schooling, including pandemic pods. For those of you who may not have heard of this innovation, a pandemic pod is a small group of parents who hire a tutor or teacher for their children. They pool their resources and create a small pod of students who will get professional education and instruction. These parents are concerned that their children will fall behind, and they're working together to ensure that doesn't happen. Rather than celebrate this innovation, some systems are pushing back against parents. Parents in Fairfax County got a disturbing note from their school system a few days ago. Fairfax County Public Schools publicly discouraged parents from setting up pandemic pods for their children. They wrote to parents, and I quote, "We do have concerns that pandemic pods may widen the gap in educational access and equity for all students. Many parents cannot afford private instruction. Many working families can't provide transportation to and from a tutoring pod, even if they could afford to pay for the service." Madam Speaker, the message is clear. Parents, you should hold your children back to make it fair for children who don't have access to those same resources. And I find that to be a remarkable statement. Rather than building up all of our students, the largest school division in our Commonwealth wants parents to hold their children back in the name of equity. That is not equity. Equity is about every child in Virginia getting what she needs to be successful, access to opportunities, resources, and supports based on where that child is and how we as a Commonwealth support her. We don't hold back some students. We lift all. That's why today I'm supporting and asking everyone to support Delegate Cox's creation of the READ Fund, the Reimbursement for Educational Access Decisions. This fund would set aside $100 million of CARES Act funds to reimburse localities who establish a program for parents who cannot afford a tutor or a teacher or other things they need to help their children learn through this pandemic. This fund doesn't touch any existing money for education. I repeat, this fund does not touch a single dollar of education funding. It uses federal CARES Act money, which has been allocated to states by Congress. And Governor Northam told us earlier this week that we've received more than $3 billion in CARES Act funding, and we still have over $1 billion left to allocate. This would tap just 3% of those funds and use them in a unique way. So rather than hold back students in the name of equity, I'm encouraging us to lift up every student. Let's empower parents to get the technology their kids need to learn virtually. Let's empower parents to get the tutoring and in-person teaching their children need to excel, regardless of how much money they make. Let's give rural children access to education they're being denied because they live more than 10 miles away from a major highway. The READ Fund will help us close the educational gap this pandemic has created. Madam Speaker, our children deserve the the best education we can give them, and a pandemic is no excuse to do otherwise. I hope you will join me in making the Read Fund a reality. Thank you.